Recently, I had a massive burnout, and thinking back, I think it must have been partly due to my cascading physical health, because I can't recall not being sick since last November. I remember being sick constantly. My body suffered from one minor illness to another. Everything started with a simple cold, and then I had an injury on my thumb, and then another cold. And as soon as I thought I was getting better, I got COVID. And while I was recovering from the horrible post-COVID fatigue, I experienced the worst stomach flu I had ever had. Now that I think about it, I think maybe my body was trying to warn me. But then I did not listen to it at all. Instead, I wanted to keep working harder. I wanted to prove all those who had ever doubted me wrong. And I knew that I could not take rest. My body did not have time to take rest because there was so much I wanted to do, and rest would only slow me down. I worked harder and harder until my body could not take it anymore. In the end, I barely had the energy to get out of bed, and the effort to complete a simple task was multiplied by hundreds. So in the end, I had no choice but to surrender to my body. I had to take the rest my body so badly needed. The whole incident made me reflect on why I had been experiencing so many burnouts, why a week rest wasn't enough to heal me, and why the fatigue I was experiencing was getting worse and worse. I would get tired so easily, and yet the quality and quantity of my work kept decreasing. I think it was at this point that I realized that my burnouts were not simply due to overworking, but much more. I have always believed in being a hard worker. I worked hard for my grades in school, and I honestly can admit that I worked harder than the average student. But through all my school years and even after that, I don't recall ever experiencing a burnout. Back then, I think I must have been doing something right. I can recall sitting on my desk on a cold winter noon, the rays filtering through the pine leaves. My biology book had been kept open in front of me, and I carefully outlined the definition of digestion. I remember reading the definition, reading it word to word, fascinated to know what it meant. And that was it, fascination. I did not learn the definition to pass an exam, nor did I label it important for a test. I did not dream about scoring 100 in biology, nor did I ask myself that will knowing this add anything to my life. I was just happy to know, and that was how I used to be. The reason I could spend hours and hours learning my books, the reason I was so disciplined in my work, and the reason I did not experience a burnout was because I enjoyed the process. The more I was on social media, especially Instagram, I began to compare myself with the whole world. I could easily see the profiles of the most successful people, and in comparison to them, I saw myself as incompetent. I thought that if I was not as good as them, then I wasn't good at all. I had forgotten that it was not an all or nothing situation, that I am not a failure just because I am not at the top. Slowly, I had begun to be laser focused only on the result, and work became tedious and hard. I dread working because I was scared to make a mistake, so I began to procrastinate. I was at a limbo of wanting to work hard, and yet too scared to start over. And this now I realize is why I had experienced burnouts over and over again. Now working on building myself again, and I know it will not be easy to suddenly change myself. But now that I know my reason, I can take my first step on becoming a better self.
What I'm doing right now by mixing these is I'm creating what's called the secondary colors color wheel. Secondary colors are orange, green, and purple. These are the ones that you get by mixing equal amounts of the primary colors together. Now, when I say equal amounts, I don't mean that I'm using exactly the same amount of red and exactly the same amount of yellow to get orange. If I did that, because of the nature of paint, red would probably just dominate and take over because paints have different strengths to them. But what I mean is equal yellowishness going into equal reddishness is going to make the color orange. Now, if you look over here at the purple, you'll see that I